Hi everyone, this is Anusree, and the chapter we are going to discuss today is A Shipwrecked Sailor, written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So let's look more onto the author. So Gabriel Garcia Marquez was born on 1928. He was a Colombian novelist, short story writer, screenwriter, and journalist. He was affectionately called Gabo. He was awarded the Neustadt International Prize for Literature in 1972 and Nobel Prize for Literature in 1982. So Gabriel Garcia Marquez's best-known novels include 100 Years of Solitude, The Autumn of the Patriarch, and so on. He passed away in 2014. So that's all about the author. So let's go back to the chapter. The story of a shipwrecked sailor tells us the saga of Luis Alejandro Velasco, a 20-year-old sailor who was washed overboard during a storm in the middle of the Caribbean Sea on February 28, 1955. Clinging to a life raft without food and water, he survived 10 days on the open sea. And what happened to Velasco and his shipmates is what being discussed throughout the novel. So, I'm going to explain the first two paragraphs of the story. My first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. The ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. I had no idea what was happening. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. It was a perfectly clear day, except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface. There was no evidence of a shipwreck. Soon, I began to hear shouts nearby. Through the sharp whistling of the wind, I recognized the voice of Giulio Amander Carabello, the tall, well-built officer who was yelling at someone, "Fatso, hold there." So the story is written from the perspective of Luis Alejandro Velasco, a 20-year-old sailor, like I said earlier. So he's saying that the first impression Alejandro Velasco had when he opened his eyes was that he was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. The ship he was traveling got plunged into an abyss and disappeared. So the plunged means jump or dive quickly. So the ship he was traveling dived quickly into an abyss and disappeared into the sea. And he's saying that he had no idea what was happening around him. Luckily, he got a hold to one of the bobbing crates. This is bobbing crate, and this is a wooden box, and it can float on the water. So luckily, he got hold on to one of the bobbing crate, and he started to stupidly contemplate to the sea. The word contemplate means thoughtfully looking. And he's saying that it was a perfectly clear day, except for the choppy waves. So the choppy waves are small, rough waves caused by the wind. So why he didn't like the choppy waves? It's because those choppy waves made all the remaining parts of his wrecked ship disappear into the sea. So when someone looks into the sea, there is no evidence of a shipwreck there. So that's why he's saying that, except for the choppy waves, it was a perfectly clear day. That's when he began to hear some shoutings nearby. Through the sharp whistling of the wind, Luis Alejandro Velasco recognized the voice of Giulio Amander Carabello. So the sharp whistling of the wind. Whistling here refers to the high-pitched sound created when a wind passes by an object at a high speed. So he recognized the voice of Giulio Amander Carabello, and Carabello is a tall, well-built officer, and he was yelling at someone, "Fatso, hold there." And that's all about the first two paragraphs of the story. So when Luis Alejandro Velasco woke up, he was in the middle of the ocean, and he was so confused, and luckily then he got a hold on to one of the bobbing crate, and the choppy waves in the ocean made all the remaining parts of the wrecked ship disappear into the sea. And then he started to hear shouts nearby, and it was Giulio Amander Carabello, and he was a tall, well-built officer, and he was yelling at someone to hold on there. These are some vocabularies I've explained throughout the video. Also, hope survival, and heroism are the three main themes of the story. So hope you guys got an understanding about the first two paragraphs of the story. And thanks for watching the video. Bye.